The Sigmas tonight, and I'm with the Honorable Judge Murray, who's in housing court, and we're here to talk about not only the things he does in housing court, but to give young men and women, a viable option for street life or remedial jobs at the bottom. You can work your way up. You can work your way up intellectually. You can work your way up in positions, and you can work your way up, of course, now through social media and other networks, podcasting. Follow dreams and aspirations, but you need not stay at the bottom of any part of society. And Judge Murray has went to the finest school when they weren't hardly admitting a black man at Northwestern University, grad, and he's also been a judge for almost 30 years now.
Almost 19.
Almost 19. Oh, I'm ahead of myself. And did it come after Sub-Circus or before, or right around the same time? During Sub-Circus, because before then it was really hard to get African Americans before the Sub-Circus were created by Representative Young and others, because Representative Brookins or Senator Brookins at the time.
Brookins, Paul Williams.
Those gentlemen.
And there was one other white senator who pushed it as well, because there was a thought that
countywide took too much money and
it was difficult to get non-democratic candidates white to win elections.
White or black, okay.
Yeah, so that fostered the possibility of having suburban Republicans elected to the bench.
Right. See, and so we're getting some history on how we start getting a better variety of judges, both liberal, both new progressives, old progressives, now some socialists will probably end up with at this day and age. But the reality is none of this would have been possible without the collaboration between African American senators and state reps and Caucasian colleagues, and it wasn't hardly a Hispanic in the state rep then, right?
Yeah, not at that time.
Right, at that time, we didn't even have our I think, first or only one or two Hispanics across the state, but it took that coalition to decide they wanted more inclusive government in Cook County and not machine government in Cook County. And it expanded the number of judges from the various backgrounds we could get. And now we have judges on almost every ethnic group and every culture and various other definitions they choose in the judiciary to help make sure we all are treated fairer. And so without further ado to talk about right now, our season changed. The one that came a little earlier than we used to lately, and a little earlier than projected on December 21st or 20th, solistic or whatever they call it, solstice. But the reality is it's here already, the winter, the cold, the snow, and people having to adhere to housing standards for this time of year. And without further ado, Judge Murray, you want to talk to him a little bit about some of the basic changes this time of year to help provide good housing for people and livable housing.
Sure. Well, first of all, let me say good evening, and I'm always excited to come on the program, and it's indeed a privilege for me to be here to share the knowledge that I have about the habitability requirements in the city of Chicago and also Cook County, because the housing court that sits in the Daly Center also handles code violations under county government for unincorporated Cook.
Okay.
So there are some portions of the Cook County political subdivision that are unincorporated. So in those regions, county government is in charge of both policing, habitability in terms of property, and other issues. It's not a lot of Cook County, but it is significant, and there's a fairly significant docket for cases that are prosecuted by the state's attorney's office against property owners outside of unincorporated areas in Cook County.
Okay.
Let me begin by focusing on a provision of city code that requires that landlords maintain a certain temperature between certain hours of the 24-hour clock. And that is from 8:30 in the morning, 8:30 a.m. until 10:30 p.m., the minimum ambient temperature inside a living unit must be 68 degrees. Now, I'm sure some people will say, 68 degrees? That's not warm. But that's what the code requires. And from the time of 10:30 p.m. until 8:30 a.m. the following morning, the minimum ambient temperature is 66 degrees. So there's a two degree difference between daytime and evening or night temperatures. It's also important to know that that requirement is in place for 8 months of the year. So it begins as early as September, when of course it's normally still pleasant in Chicago and sometimes even hot. And it runs until May 15th. So it's 8 months that requirement is in vogue and usually is significant. And one of the things that happens, and it may be a function of lack of maintenance or not paying attention to how your heating appliances are functioning, but we have so many cases where their calls made to 311 that results in a lawsuit because of lack of heat. Right, and sometimes that is a total catastrophe in terms of the heating unit itself needing to be replaced, and other times it's just parts, thermocouple or a water check valve or some other, or even an exhaust piping system that's not functioning properly to exhaust the burn fuel. But any of these things can cause a breakdown in terms of the efficiency of your appliance. So while you might, you put it out of your mind, once spring hits us and you no longer have that minimum heat requirement in place within the city of Chicago. But the flaw in that thought process is that, winter is coming. Right. Sometimes it comes a little sooner than we might expect or hope. But for city government purposes, winter is September 15th. Okay. So it's probably as wise and prudent for not only landlords but even single-family homeowners to have their appliances regularly inspected and checked before the heating season begins to prevent the loss of heat supply and also incurring maybe more expensive repair during that demand on HVAC technicians that you might might have during the summer months. And then the flip side of that is during the summer months, there's also a cooling requirement in place for certain types of structures, and many times these situations result in the need to relocate folks out of where they live until such time as that you can restore the requirements that the code requires. So let me stop there, and I'll...
well, even though you just mentioned, oftentimes we hear about the catastrophic potential and sometimes catastrophic things that have happened during heat-related situations in the summer months. However, I know your court has also had to help us avoid and certain catastrophes during the winter months because, of course, similar people, seniors, others living alone and all of that, and those with marginal incomes or limited or fixed incomes often are the ones who end up in housing that may oftentimes needs your intervention the intervention of the courts in order to get some proper resolutions and or to facilitate them being moved to safer housing, more suitable housing for the conditions during the winter. And so could you talk a little bit about, since we're in this season now, how oftentimes you all have to intervene even during these winter months to help get people out of housing where, like we mentioned last year, they can't fix the unit because it's cost inhibitive. A friend of mine was in that situation, Tommy G, a year ago. Or they just don't want to invest. Some people, investment property, don't want to invest in a 20, 30,000 new unit. So they rather just pay the cost to help relocate people, especially when it's 3, 4 tenants, and then they can move on and then they sell a building.
Sure. So if we have a situation or confronted with a situation where we have tenant occupied properties, and for whatever reason, the landlord is unable to provide the basic services, heat, hot water, even running water of any type, okay, then the court can intervene at the city's urging and provide relocation assistance for those inhabitants of the dwelling. Now, in some circumstances, if we appoint what's referred to as a receiver.
Okay.
And the receiver is an arm of the court. And Dearborn Real Estate Board, at least over the past several years, has had a community receivership seminar that they put on over several days. I think it went over 3 or 4 days. And I've taught that many times over the past several years. And one of the things I explained to those in attendance, and we've had audiences of more than 300 attendees at times, but that if I appoint you as a receiver, then if I tell you to jump 6 inches, don't jump 4. And also, don't jump 7. Do exactly what you're instructed to do. Stay within the boundaries of what is a court order that appoints you. That is your Bible. So you follow the Bible, and you'll be fine. Now, if in fact you discover a need to alter the scope of your authority, then you just come and advise me of that. We give notice to the affected parties that we've got to modify this order based on the receiver's observation and discovery in order to overall accomplish the mission. So it is possible, though you may initially be told, well, you can't jump more than 6 inches, but if you can demonstrate in order to fully accomplish what the goal is, and essentially the goal in that circumstance may well be just restoring heat, hot water, sometimes even electricity, all the basic services that all of us want in terms of where we live, then a receiver can be put in place in order to accomplish that goal.
Right. Now, I know we're going to deal with this later. You already, Judge Murray is setting us up with a tenant-landlord court judge who will be able to go into many of the problems we have on both sides. There currently are laws now that are somewhat tie landlords' hands, even when they're good landlords. And then, but those laws primarily came in effect because you used to have, quote, the slumlord. And you still have those who would be slumlords if you didn't have those laws. However, in the society we're in today, and people learning the legal maneuvers, sometimes then you have tenants now who will abuse those newly found laws to protect good tenants and tenants in general. They have learned to find a way to make them almost punitive toward landlords, even good landlords, especially when it comes to not paying rent and other things in the 60 to 90 to 120 day period, sometime to get through court proceedings, to possibly get evicted and things of that nature, which can bring hardship on even the average good landlord and or new investor in trying to provide better housing.
Well, I think what you're referring to is a city ordinance called the Chicago Residential Landlord Tenant Ordinance, RLTO. And I think the spirit of the law is such that it was designed to protect tenants who were vulnerable. in properties where the landlord essentially was neglecting it and otherwise not providing the basic services that should be expected of anybody who is paying rent. But it's become a cottage industry for lawyers.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there's certain provisions of it that provide for fee shifting. And just to give you a couple examples, for example, your landlord, if he or she or it secures a security deposit for you, one of the things they have to tell you is where is that money being held.
Okay, the escrow is whatever.
If they don't do that, then that's a claim that you can make for RLTO violation.
Ooh, oh, that's new to me. All right, thank you.
Likewise,
Okay.
there's an interest requirement on that security deposit. Now, you don't necessarily have to pay the interest amount. You can also provide what the interest accrual is as a rent credit.
Okay. Oh,
But you must acknowledge the obligation to respond and be responsive to the fact that this security deposit is there, and therefore annually you have to provide information about its location, and then also pay the tenant the interest rate that is provided by city ordinance. But it can be it can be very just abusive, I think. And where lawyers are charging multiple thousands of dollars for relatively simple issues.
Okay.
But because you have this inequity between a pro se landlord in many instances and a lawyer representing a tenant, then it can lead to abuse, and I've seen it.
Well, I think there are some similar things in the property tax system where lawyers sometimes get over doing marginal work on marginal fees for the client, but they get an absorbent amount off that fee for their payment. And it's something that really 1 minute, 2 minute filling out a paper would get them their exemptions, but you got some tax lawyers and others that's lawyers, and some tax reps aren't lawyers, but they go in there and then they say they want a third of the money that you entitled to by law. All you gotta do is fill out the little paperwork. So they offer to do it for you, like they helping you, when actually when they get a third of your savings, they really hindering many struggling families.
Yeah, and that's for more than 1 year.
Right.
Normally.
Yeah, and right. If they do multiple years, they get the third off each year, not a third off a year that they file, but the back years also, and or when they do other assessment processes. So, and we sometimes we tend to not recommend those of us in the work in that area of government not to recommend lawyers or reps to any residential people. Some commercial times you have to have them, but if you don't, we recommend you come on in and let us do our job. We're government workers are hired to help you through the process of filing for exemptions, appeals, all of that downtown at the assessor's office, board of review, and let them do the job you pay them for you, and not let a lawyer end up with a third of any savings you may get as a result of your legal claims. So yeah, on that end, and that's a sensitive issue right now. I don't know if you've been affected by it, or do you feel it may adversely affect this winter for some people that are on the margins, holding on to their property, and now they got these huge tax bills across the city. And I've been at a few events where that's been a highly contentious, that's one of the words we use, but it's been a very almost volatile situation on top of everything's going on with SNAP and all that, to then get these exorbitant tax bills.
Right. Well, the tax bill itself really is a function of two different, I guess, assessment or valuation processes. One is valuing the property itself, which the assessor, Cook County assessor, does. Kagi. I can't think of his first name.
Fritz
Kagi. Yeah. So he determines valuation for all properties within Cook. And then the tax bill itself, if you've ever looked at it, There are multiple taxing districts on that bill, and they levy based on what their budget and what they believe their needs are. So that's actually how the tax bill itself is determined. Those two variables. Now, every 3 years, there's a reassessment of the valuation of your property.
Right.
It used to be every 4 years.
Oh, okay.
But
Wow.
now it's 3 years. And that's directly what affects the tax assessment. And I don't want to use that word
But it's kind
incorrectly,
of the word we use, right?
yeah,
You're using
it's-
it right. So far,
yeah.
you're accurate.
Yeah, but what ultimately becomes your tax bill is a function of those two variables, valuation and then the various levies placed
Right.
on the property by the governmental districts that have that ability.
And to his credit, Assessor Fritz Kagi, and I'll give a disclaimer that he is my boss in county government during day. At night, I'm my own boss, and I'm here representing the Hand Up Recovery Homes. However, being as a property owner in the city, the first thing I did after seeing all the levies affecting my bill is put on my Facebook page, personal Facebook page, to everyone who know I've been downtown for 20-some years, 28 to be exact, that it is not the assessment driving the huge bulk of this change. It's the levies.
Right.
It's our TIFs that some of us have been added to and or expanded recently, and the amount they requesting is much higher. It's our Board of Education, who's underfunded on every level of government. State, city, and everyone's underfunding them, and the TIFs draw out of their funding, which then the city did put some money back, but still it wasn't enough to cover the whole budget. So then they had to do another levy again, almost to the full extent they could. I think 7 to 9% something of what the previous levy was. So they got that increase. Then there's park districts. Many of us like me don't have kids, or other people like you, children are way older and out the system. And we may or may not go to even the events in our parks. So, but we help pay for them. Taxpayers, the homeowners. And unfortunately, we're trying to find ways where, one, you limit those increases, two, that every citizen help pay for those services that they often use or can use for public use versus just homeowners, because that's becoming a significant burden as far as the levy. And so that's real important. And it's not his fault. He's got 15 to 20% of the burden of the increase. Some people increases 80%, 100%, 120%, 130% in some areas of the city. The assessment only went up between 15 to 20, 22% on average. So that means that other 100, that other 70, that other 65% increase is your levies. You know, so in all honesty, I hate to see anybody treated unfairly. And the late bill is not his fault. The assessor's office got on the new computerized system 5 years ago and has worked most of their kinks out, or learned to work around those kinks and create their own programming unit within the office to get the job done timely every year for the last 4 years. It's other areas that haven't modernized, and they're the ones who got stuck for the extra 3 months and the bill coming out late. So he even taking a hit that the bill is so late. It's not his fault. It belongs with other county government officials who finally decided to utilize the $30 million system we paid for over the last 7 years, and they finally using it. Tyler Technologies, right. And they overbilled. We're their window to the world, like WTTW say. They're using Cook County as they trial balloon to be able to go across the world globally doing tax assessments. They really were a data-driven system that is learning how to process taxes now on a mass scale. The biggest, I think, before us was like 100,000 people or 100,000 property town, and then they jump into 1.9, 2.1. I think we almost at 2.3 million parcels and properties in Cook County. You know, our time running out. Anything else you want to say? They're giving us a minute. My fault.
Oh, but as to Tyler, they had the same problem because they were hired to create a statewide database system for the courts.
Okay, right, okay.
And there were problems with their work on that project as well.
Okay.
So, but let me mention quickly. The winter brings on normally a bed bug spread.
Oh, okay.
So
good point.
that's something to be aware of. There is a provision in city ordinance about that. 311 is the place to start those complaints. But it's not unusual for tenants to experience bed bug spread as we come inside, so to speak,
Okay.
and we bring those bed bugs inside with us.
Right. Yeah, they hijackers. They get on any clothing or anything from anywhere you've gone that one may be. They'll get on your clothes, your jacket, your scarf if you lay it down, your hat, anything they can get on, and then they infestate, like they multiply at hundreds. So that's, if you wonder how it happens so fast, because they multiply like that. Every 21 days, I've dealt with transient people doing the recovery services, and we've had to deal with that. And primarily, the bigger agencies created our problem. Go figure. The bigger ones ended up having people leave, them come our way and bring the problem. We was able to expedite it. Every 21 days is a good way to exterminate if you self-exterminate, and at least every 20 days to help get rid of it over time.
And no one's exempt. Even the so-called, expensive high-rise buildings, they experience bed bug problems from time to time.
Senior housing, affordable housing units, everyone. All right, thank you. And it's been a wonderful, plum pleasing pleasure. Hand up 773-213-0802 if you need our services or referrals to any agencies or people we know can assist in government. Thank you.